real estate agent, Lake Chapala, Mexico. Hi, broadcasting not live from Mazatlan, Mexico. I'm Bill the Geek. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel. On the Bill Dallas Lewis channel, we make videos about the joys of living in Mexico. At the beginning of every month when we go live on Saturdays, Katie IBARRA joins us and gives us real estate tips and shares a property with us. Today, she's going to share with you 3 tips about buying property in Mexico. Let's hear what she has to say. The 3 tips she's going to talk about is what is the current climate of real estate in the Lakeside, Chapala, Ajijic area. Number 2, she's going to tell us about, do you pay commissions to the realtors in Mexico? The 3rd issue she's going to address is, can you get or buy a house on a 180-day visa? All of Katie's contact information is in the description below in the middle. You can also find all of her contact information at billthegeek.org. Click FAQs and look for Lake Chapala Realtors. Good morning, Katie IBARRA. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Bill.
Okay, so Katie has 3 very important real estate tips for us this morning, and I've been really digging deep in my mind for what to ask Katie. But Katie, I have a question for you, and my first question: there is Katie's phone number. She has a Mexican phone number and a United States phone number. So, Katie, what is the current climate of the real estate market in Lake Chapala area at the moment?
Sure, this is a common question that we get because folks who have been following the market for a few years noticed that after COVID 21, 22, we really saw a boom. Transactions, the number of closings was up, and property values were really climbing. And this year in 2023, compared to last year, we've seen a significant slowdown. The number of transactions is down, I'd say 30-35%. And so as a result, we are seeing that incline of property values has plateaued. And I would attribute it to 2 things right now. Most of our big percentage of our buyers are foreign nationals, many from the US, some Canada, and then a sprinkling of other countries. And one of the issues at hand, you look at the interest rates right now in the US are high. And folks who thought a couple years ago, hey, I'm going to sell my house quickly, I'm going to get a really large sum of money, take my cash to Mexico and buy. Well, their reality has been altered a little. So things have slowed down for them trying to sell. They maybe aren't getting as much for their property up north. So that definitely trickles down and has an effect here. Then the other piece I would say is the strengthening peso to the dollar. People are saying, oh my goodness, what I had envisioned being able to spend in Mexico, my spending power with the US dollar has altered as well. It's a little bit less strong. So those things are having an effect on the market here Lakeside, but we're still seeing closings almost every day in my office. So multiple times a week at least.
Please leave a comment, tell us what you think. And if you like the video, please click the like button. Okay, and that's that area specifically, Ajijic, it's a powerful investment opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mentioned we saw property values soar for a couple of years. They've plateaued, but they're not losing in value. They'll continue to creep up. And then if it's something a person is considering an income property and doing some rental, then the closer you are to Ajijic Centro, the bigger guarantee of bigger money and definitely having your place rented all the time. But that's trickled out to San Antonio, Chapala, et cetera. People aren't having trouble renting those homes and getting a decent rental income.
Okay, so I have a second question for you.
Okay.
As a buyer, do I pay commission to the realtor? How does that work? How does that commission thing work?
Sure. No, typically a buyer doesn't pay any real estate commission. That's paid by the seller of the property in a normal scenario. So for a buyer to work with a real estate agent, it's free of charge to them. So to me, I don't know why anybody would go out there on their own without some guidance and somebody looking out for their best interest when it costs them nothing. What buyers do need to understand the cost to them. It's two things. One, if they're a foreign buyer, the Mexican government requires a permit to get an individual's name on a deed to own property, and there's a fee associated with that. This year, it's approximately 315 US dollars. And then the other piece, of course, is closing costs. And closing costs are government fees and taxes, and the notario's fees. The notario is kind of our equivalent of a what's the word, just title agency. Like, it just went out of my brain. But they're the person who's going to conduct the closing, and they'll also be doing that research to make sure there aren't liens on the property and that the person trying to sell it really can sell it, all that good stuff. So that's what goes into closing costs. And this year we're seeing those close to 4% of purchase price. So those are the costs to the buyer: closing cost and that permit.
Okay. Okay, I have one last question for you, Katie, and thank you so much
Okay.
for being here with us today. I get this question many times. There are so many types of visas out there. I get questions about, can you buy oceanfront? Can you buy properties on the oceanfront? Can you do this? Can you do that? But a question I get all the time is can I purchase property if I only have a tourist visa? What do you have to say about that?
Okay. At the moment, we are still able to have closings where the buyer has a tourist visa. Notarios here lakeside, for the most part, they're still conducting those closings. However, I always emphasize to my clients that if you're buying property in Mexico, you should at least be in the process of getting your resident visa, whether that's temporal or permanente. And a big part of that is the last couple of years, the Mexican government has really tried to tighten up processes, and they're requiring a taxpayer ID for many things. And you can't get that without a resident visa. So one of the first things you'll come up against if you've bought property as a tourist is, once the registered deed comes back after the closing, you need to go get your utilities in your name. The electric company is not going to put that account in your name unless you have a resident visa and a tax ID number. So you're going to start to hit walls and have some stumbling blocks if you don't have that in place. So absolutely, if maybe you're in the process but you haven't obtained it yet and you've fallen in love with the property and you need to take action, we can still close, but you need to be in the process.
And you mentioned that tax ID number that has some strange acronym like KFC or something like that. What is that thing called?
It's an RFC.
Oh, okay. And those are getting more and more important to have. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you do need to get an appointment with the office, the government office, for getting the RFC. That's another acronym. That organization is SAT, the SAT office. But you have to go in person. We often will get people saying, well, I need to go back to Canada. I need to go back to the US. Can I just pay a facilitator to go get that for me? And the answer is no. When the time comes, you need to be here, feet on the ground, and go to the office yourself or with a facilitator, because they're gathering biometrics. It's required now. That means they're scanning your eye and they're taking your fingerprints.
Oh my God! Wow. Oh, okay. Okay, so Katie has she comes to us with a property the first weekend of every month, and she has a property here. Let's look at this map before we do anything. We go live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time. People join us from all over the world, and we get together and talk about the joys of living in Mexico. So click that subscribe button and click the bell, and you'll get a notification, and you can join us in the fun. Thank you very much, my good friend Katie IBARRA, for filling us in on tips about buying real estate lakeside in Mexico. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. We have many more videos to come, so click that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.